Welcome to the Celebrating Women podcast, co-hosted by Mandee Montana and Ashley Fisher, a podcast that celebrates women, their issues, their thoughts, their lives, conversations that celebrate their gifts, their talents, their courage. It's the Celebrating Women podcast. Presented by Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Hey, it's Mandee Montana, and you know I love Hand & Stone. It's where I go to relax and take care of the majority of my skincare needs. And today I've got Sarah with me. Sarah, there is an amazing Black Friday special coming very soon, right?
Yes. Coming up for the holidays.
Tell me all about it, girl.
All right. So our members, you can purchase 3 gift cards for $139.90. So that's only $46 per service. So that is our cheapest rate of the entire year. Members can purchase as many gift cards as you want.
Ooh.
So you can keep them for yourself. You can gift them away. They make an amazing gift.
Yes.
Our non-members, so they are limited to only 2 sets, but you can purchase 2 gift cards for $119.90. So that's still cheaper than our member rate per month at only $59.95 per service.
That is incredible. And if somebody was like, hey, sounds like I need to be a member because I want unlimited gift cards, they could take care of that too.
Absolutely.
Okay, incredible. So I take advantage of this pretty much every year. I'm on some kind of list. In November, I get a phone call from you guys to remind me. Are you doing that again?
We are. So our pre-sales do start November 1st. We'll write your name down and how many sets of those gift cards that you want. And we'll verify the last 4 digits of the card that you do want to charge that to. We'll give you a reminder text before we do charge, but we charge them right before Thanksgiving so you can pick them up.
Perfect. Okay, so if somebody wants to be on that pre-order list like me, what number do they call and what do they need to ask for?
So call 903-345-6051 and just call and ask to be on the pre-sale list for the gift cards.
Perfect. Give me that number one more time.
903-345-6051.
And if I go to handandstonetyler.com, is it also on the front page?
It's not. So our Black Friday gift card promotion is an in-store promotion.
Perfect. So you need to call or you need to stop by if you want to take advantage of
Yes.
Black Friday savings.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, you know I'll be there.
Welcome back to the Celebrating Women podcast. I'm Ashley Fisher.
I'm Mandee Montana, and today we have a special guest. Nora's here.
Woo-hoo. Hi, Nora.
Hello. Nora, you and I have known each other for several years because were you an intern or were you an employee at the radio station when I first got there?
Employee. I was doing the online content and events and things like that.
That's what I thought.
Chase Colston's personal assistant, I guess.
Well, I adored you when you were there, and you weren't there long enough, in my opinion. But it's been lovely getting to know you over the years and watching since you left. You've really become active in our community, and that's something that Ashley and I are passionate about too. Building community and also just reinforcing it where we can and supporting local nonprofits. So, did you start your own?
Yes.
Will you talk about it?
Sure. So it's called Worthy Ones. And it's something that was started because I had a New Year's resolution that I would once a month go out and help somebody in the community. And so I got to learn a little bit more about other nonprofits and, how they were working. And then I came up with a couple of ideas like the Bus Stop Water Project, because I saw people that I worked with at Stanley's, famous Pitt barbecue, and they were walking to work because their car was totaled. And it's 105 outside. And they would get to work just bright red in the face, completely dehydrated, just in terrible shape. And I realized, there's got to be something we can do about this because there's so many people like them, either walking or using the buses. And so I put together, it was just a few coolers people had left over in the garage, and I got some water, from the Dollar Tree. We set it out, and then some people in the community noticed, and then next thing I know, I've got a nonprofit that was supported by others around me. Nick and Jen Pensis, the owners of Stanley's, actually gave me my first big check and said, go forth and do this. And yeah, so I kind of took that New Year's resolution and made it a life resolution,
I love that.
Okay, so I'm a context person. So I love this podcast because it's a chance to bring women in who are doing amazing things and highlight that and celebrate that. And I want to know too, like, what was it that, like, because not everybody, first of all, not everyone sits and notices that somebody's walking in red-faced and bless their heart, they need some water. Mm-hmm. That just doesn't occur to, honestly, probably most people. Mm-hmm. So can you take us back a little bit and give us some context to, like, what do you feel like it is about your life, your history that kind of brings you to, like, that point?
Well, I think it began, of course, with my parents. They were very loving and giving people. Mm-hmm. And we were brought up in a house that was very much about being empathetic to others. Mm-hmm. My father was a psychology professor, so I ended up learning a lot about not necessarily reading people, but in a way, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they were very encouraging on having good social interactions with others. And so I think that furthered this idea of empathy. And then that became something that I noticed in my day-to-day life. When somebody was sweet to me, I wanted to pass that along, Yeah. And I think that in all actuality, we are born to be empathetic. Mm-hmm. I think that it's something that maybe, you mentioned other people may not notice that. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's self-preservation. We all have things going on. So maybe that's something too. You're so focused in on your own problems and your day-to-day. But I do think that we still have that tool. We just have to keep practicing it.
Yeah, I love that. I just love that. I think it's like so many things. Children are very in tune with that in some ways. Some ways not, because of course they're egocentric. But children can absolutely shock me at. Like one time, I was up here with my kiddos. We were waiting on a client, and a client's mother got here like an hour early. We're sitting on the floor with Happy Meals. I'm like, hi. And my son looks at her and says, you can sit down if you'd like, would you? And like sharing his food and has never met this person before. And I'm like, that's just so precious, But I feel like, at some point, for whatever reason, as adults, it either kind of leaves or we just get so focused on our day-to-day tunnel vision on our stuff that we don't always walk with that in mind. Mm-hmm. So I love the reminder to just, okay, would you agree or disagree? Is life a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun when you go about your day-to-day looking outward and looking for those opportunities to be empathetic?
I think it is. I think it is. And I think it's good for us, for our mental health, for, our enjoyment of life as well. I think if you have this haze and fog around you of, I've got to do this task, I've got this timeline, I have this and that, and you're not, being present in the moment, and you're not seeing the people around you, and you're not experiencing these moments like eating a Happy Meal on the floor with a new friend.
Yeah, right.
I think that, life can become so mundane,
Yeah. So. Okay. So I wanted to know that because again, I'm like, just that's a jewel that I feel like needs to be like dusted off because it's just a rare thing anymore.
So I think the second jewel there is not only did you notice, but you acted.
Yeah.
So many people may notice and be like, oh, that person, like in the moment, they might give them a bottle of water, right? They might go there, but you went so much further and you were like, oh no, this is a systemic problem that can be resolved. I can help more than just this person that's right in front of me. I can help others. And like, that's yes, you have to notice first, but like so many people might notice, but then they go back to their mundane life, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't take action. So I love that you spurred it on and then you inspired other people to get involved, right?
So so talk about that.
Yeah,
like,
how did that develop?
I think that, I don't hold judgment at all when people don't want to take action. I think that it's in a lot of senses, in a lot of moments, it can seem really overwhelming.
For sure. Yeah.
Very overwhelming, you know? And I think that, going back to being present and being empathetic and noticing people around you, that can also create kind of a boundary for people because you start to see all of the problems, and then it can get so overwhelming.
Very true. Yeah.
And how do you spend your time? Where is it going to be used best? And I think that that's why, for Bus Stop Water, that was so easy for me because I said, well,
simple.
I can focus in. I can not worry about. I don't have to. Solve all the world's problems today, but I can get some people some water. And I think that. Sometimes I think people are also hindered by the idea of what's the norm, like how I think that people get, not just overwhelmed by the idea of giving back, but, how do you do it? What can I, do?
There's so many avenues.
Do I give money? Do I do this? And I thought, let's just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's evolved past but that's still going on, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Did you continue that, or did somebody else pick up that mantle and run with you?
It's been primarily me, but I've noticed that during the summers, other little coolers pop up, and that's so sweet.
That's so
love it.
precious.
Yes.
That has to make you smile and feel a little sense of pride, and just that's amazing.
Yeah. And I've noticed too that some of the volunteers that help, refresh the coolers, I try and get as many people as I can. They're starting to notice these people as well. And they make comment to me, hey, we decided to take the bus to go put our water in. And we've never experienced something like that. And so it's slowly spreading into new little projects, Some of these other families said, oh, let's put books out at the bus stops. Let's give these people something
I just
to
got
read.
chills.
Like, it just keeps growing into this beautiful thing.
Isn't that such an example of, each of us has, if you think of yourself as I'm a flame. I'm just this little flame. But my flame, when it's hooked up with somebody else's, it just makes the thing grow and grow and grow and grow. And I'm using air quotes, all you did was you noticed an issue. There was a grace in your life to do something about it, meaning I'm going to go to the Dollar Tree and get some water and use some coolers. But then that little sparked something in somebody else. And I'm sure those people they have that same sense of oh, well, I never thought about this, but look. And now those people are putting books out. I mean, I think that to me is so encouraging, because sometimes it can be so overwhelming thinking about all the needs across the earth. And for those with bleeding hearts, it's I can't take care of everything. You can't, and you're not supposed to. What you are supposed to do is pay attention to what's your spark today? What's the one little thing you can add your flame to, and then just do that. And and it's neat that you've been able to see how it's lit other fires, because sometimes we're just over here being our flame and we have no idea if it's helping spark anything else. We just kind of have to trust that it is. But I think that's just so cool. That's just such an example of digital light of mine.
For sure. So what are some projects that you're working on now with Worthy Ones?
So we just finished up an annual fundraiser so unfortunately somebody that I know and I was close to passed away from breast cancer. And she was thank you. She was such a giving woman, you know. And so I wanted to do what she couldn't do any longer in this life. I wanted to continue that love giving, encouragement out there to the community. So we take one person that's nominated or a family that's going through the battle at the moment, and we raise funds for them to get groceries, pay the light bill, things like that, so they don't have to worry about that while they're going through it, you know, just rest on our shoulders for a little bit. We'll carry you,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I love that. But I see you're doing, I know each year for like your birthday, you do something that's a little bit different and unusual, and I've contributed in the past because I think it's a beautiful extension of women helping women.
Well, thank you.
Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So it's for my birthday. I ask for people not to give me birthday presents. I ask them to bring tampons and pads for the ladies that don't have homes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Well, thank you. I think it's so fun. It gets everyone involved, and it's especially for us women. We understand that it's quite a thing. Once a month. It's and so I couldn't bear the idea of these women that don't have the money to provide
The resources.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. So why not let us do it? And I think the funniest thing about it is when my male friends go to the store and they buy them.
That's
sweet. Yes. And then they always come back with all these questions like, what does this mean? And there were so many things to pick from.
Well, it's a universal thing that all women experience, right? And we all know. In fact, Ashley and I were just talking about this on our last podcast episode, especially young women.
Yeah.
When they're going through that for the first time or early on. Well, it happens to adults too. Sometimes it sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
And you have that moment where, oh my goodness, now I've got this moment of embarrassment. But imagine yourself not having the resources to be able to go take care of that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's such a lovely thing to think of others in that moment. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I can't think of the right word, but it's so universal. I mean, we all have been in a moment where we've needed one.
Yes.
Well, and I think it points to, like I'm sitting here going, what a luxury it is to be able to, I've started. I'm going to go in my bedroom that it has a roof over it and heat or AC, and I'm going to go get a change of clothes and go to my bathroom and get all the supplies that I need. Like, that's such a luxury. Yeah. And to think, of women, having to deal with that while also being out in the elements and not having some of those resources. So how do you go about dispersing those? Like, what does that look like?
So primarily, I do keep little care packages in my car just in case I see someone that might be in need at that moment.
Yeah.
But primarily I give them to Path.
Okay.
Because they have a little shop so people can come in and get things. And that tends to be one of the items that they don't get.
Interesting. It makes sense because I'm like, I've never thought about that. But it's like, that's an essential.
Yes.
It really is.
I had thought about it from seeing Nora's posts, but then, I joined Junior League last year. And one of the things that Junior League of Tyler does is they have a care closet for young women. So they collect them year round and have them in schools for girls that may need them.
Yeah, that's good.
And but like, it's not something that I ever thought about because I'm been privileged most of my life to have them when I needed them or have a family that was able to provide them for me.
Yeah.
And I, especially as a young lady in school, I wasn't thinking of other students who may not have them.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful that
we're actually doing our benefit this month
Are
at
you?
Stanley's is the care closet.
Is it?
It is.
Oh, yay. Oh,
Yes.
because you're linked to Heather. Heather works there too, Heather Brown. So you guys have been amazing with Junior League to support us so much. Thank you.
Well, you guys are doing so much good.
Thank you for noticing that. This is my first full year in the league, and I'll just make this very short. But one of the things that I've noticed since I've been in, there's a little bit of a misconception in the community about what Junior League is and who is involved. And there's some people think that it is a group of women who do not work, who just throw parties for themselves to raise money. And I can understand how that misconception would happen. Totally. I thought that too for a long time, but it's not that way. Most of the women in the league work full time and volunteer and serve. And that's a big is volunteering. When we give money to agencies, I think right now it's 13 agencies that we are partnered with. When we give money to them, they also have to agree to allow us to come and serve and volunteer and give our time so that it is a partnership and that we're, doing things in the community. So we can talk about that on a whole other episode sometime because I've been amazed at the differences that have been made over the years. And I'm really proud to be a part of it now that I know more about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would like to help shift the narrative so that people understand. Yes. But just a big thank you to you, because I know you've been involved. I know you're just involved in all the fun stuff that happens at Stanley's, because you guys give back there a lot too. You were serving homeless. Tell me about that.
So we've done a couple of different programs to try and feed everyone in the community because, we spoke a little bit about privilege earlier. Yeah. And, all the prices are going up for everything.
It's insane.
And we, I personally, and I know everyone else at Stanley's feels the same, but we are so honored that people come to us to spend that money. But that's not everyone. And so I love that we are taking all of this support from the community, everyone coming in, and then we can go and turn that and help the people that can't come in and pay and buy. We want to make sure everyone's got a full belly. And so we've done a few different things where, we've tried to feed the police officers, we feed the firefighters as much as we can, especially because we have Pitts. You're
grateful for the firefighters. You never know when you might need them.
Yes. Please think of us.
Yeah, right.
But, I kind of went a few different avenues outside of that to feed everyone. And I hit some hurdles throughout. We have health code that we have to follow, which makes complete and utter sense. But I think it is hindersome to some degree because we're not able to reach everyone. I would love to reach the kids that maybe go home on the weekend and don't have food, but that's a little bit of a sticky kind of situation.
Unless they could actually come to the restaurant, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So what I've started now to kind of hit as many people as possible, I call it Lunch Club. Okay. And so it's open to everyone. Anybody and everybody. And it's at the Tyler Public Library, so that's a good meeting place,
Yeah.
And I run it as a catered event, and so we have kids that come in, which is awesome. That's one goal met.
Yeah.
And then we have some of the folks that are, they've left the day from Salvation Army and, they're kind of looking for somewhere to go, something to do. And, then we have city employees that come in.
Yeah.
We have just, everyone in the community comes and sits down and they get
What a melting pot.
Yes. It's so
That is
wonderful.
Thanksgiving. That's beautiful.
Yes.
I love that.
I love watching all of these people come together and they sit, and there's not any kind of hierarchy. There's not, a cool kid table and a, that kid table.
Yeah.
It's just everyone sits down and enjoys some.
That's so
some brisket.
beautiful. Some brisket, man. Who couldn't enjoy that? Is there with these opportunities? Is there room? I'm thinking, my kids are getting to the age where we really want to start, kind of expanding their ideas about the world and let them in and experience personally that not everyone is as privileged as we are to be able to have a roof over our heads, and we want to involve them in serving and that kind of thing. So is this an opportunity where a family could come help serve in that situation?
Sure. So things, to try and keep it safe for everybody, but fun for everyone, that there's totally a possibility that the little ones could pass out bags of chips, and be able to meet these people. And, and that's the best part, I think, is, I'm behind the table and I'm handing out food, but I'm getting to meet people.
Yeah.
Because we're getting to interact, not just, do you want some brisket or do you want hot link?
Right.
We talk about the day and, the weather and things like that. And so I think the little ones would love to come and
that'd be fun.
they get to say hi.
Have a moment to let someone be seen
Yeah.
and heard that
Yes.
may be overlooked on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And just share some kindness and a smile. You're always so lovely, Nora. It's one of the things that I love about you is every time I see you, you have the biggest smile on your face and the most welcoming hug. And it's just so refreshing and lovely. And we just need more people like you in the world. Like even just, there's so many things that you do that are awesome. But even just that, everyone can do that.
Yeah. Well, and I was just sitting here and I always am interested and I love looking up the meaning of people's names. Have you ever
Oh.
looked up the meaning of your name, Nora?
Maybe once, but I've forgotten.
So, in light of everything that we've talked about, your name in Hebrew, it means light.
Oh,
Isn't that beautiful?
that is cool because you are a
And
light.
she is a
thank
light.
Sure.
Even can mean divine light. So,
Well, that's something to, got to stand up to that.
I think you are. You
are.
absolutely are.
A
You
little bit of
are.
pressure.
No, don't take that as pressure.
It's a reflection of who you are.
Exactly. Take
Yes.
it as just a like you are embodying that so much. And we just met a few minutes ago, and I'm like, she is a light. She's sitting here, and it's not the neon light behind you. It's just your light.
I was curious.
So is this work? Is this your work? Is this what you do all the time? That's
Yes.
so amazing.
I know. Isn't it so cool?
Do you ever just sit back and go, this is my life. Like, this is what I get to go do every day.
It's amazing.
And does every day look kind of different?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Which is awesome
Yeah.
to me. I think that's great. I love it.
I get to have a little bit of attention deficit. Run around and say, oh, you need something cool. Let's go do that. And, it's super fun. And I'm blessed to have this. This
Yeah.
is so cool.
Yeah.
And I think I have to mention, I graduated with my master's and I have regulars at Stanley's that'll come in and they're like, you're still here? And I'm like, well, yes, I understand. Once you graduate, you're supposed to kind of mosey on, but this is a passion of mine and I'm getting to live it out. And, I think that it's that, just like junior league, you said that there's this, preconception of what it is, and I think sometimes people miss out on what Stanley's is, and so I'm just going to brag about Stanley's.
for it.
Yeah, go for it.
So I started there as a bartender years and years ago. It's almost 11 now. And I was just attracted to it so much because I'd gone for live music and things. And there was just always this welcoming and fun atmosphere.
And man, Nick knows good bands.
Yes, he does.
Eclectic, interesting, Nick was a musician.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
he came into the radio one time to talk about Stanley's, and we ended up talking for an hour about what it's like to be on the road in a white, Ford cargo van with other men riding around the country playing shows, because I used to chase a band around Texas that was from California that did that. And so I was like, oh man, you know what it smells like. It's not good. Anyway, sorry. Yes.
But I think it's something that's grown and grown and grown, and I think it is. Yeah. It's Nick and Jen, and then they just attract these loving and fun people, and so the people I work with are awesome. The people that come in are awesome. The bands that come in are awesome, and it's just this. We were talking about light. I think it's this beacon of light in our little town. Well, I guess it's not so little anymore, but it's always just been a place I think that everyone felt comfortable to come in and, be kind and have fun. You know? And so I think it's really cool that now my job has evolved from serving drinks to people to, serving the entire community. So
yeah, that's
I think
amazing.
It's so fun.
I was thinking about you when you were talking about it's such a blessing. The thought that ran through my mind was, she's sitting here telling us what a blessing it is to serve. And that's so where my heart is. Like Ashley and I have talked about it so much, like serving other people is such a gift. It's such a gift. Like, it can be burdensome, yes. But like when you get to see the rewards of someone's life changing, even just bringing a smile to someone's face in a moment of challenging times. It's like, it's such a gift. And so I love that you see it that way too.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm curious for you guys, doing this, do you get that? Mm-hmm. Good. Because there should be some gratification to you guys for all this love and encouragement that you're sending out to other women,
Yeah.
Because I do think that sometimes it is a little bit culturally, we're supposed to be a little bit mean to each other, maybe. And
women are the worst, right?
I think there is okay, I'm going to say this. I can be a little bit of a feminist at times.
You can.
I can't be.
I did not realize
You
that.
didn't know that, but not in a I don't see it in a negative light. I think women can be competitive with each other because there aren't as many seats at the table. And so because there are fewer seats, because there have been in the past, it's getting better, because there have been fewer opportunities to us as a gender to be seen and heard, I think it's created competition where what I have found as an adult is that the more I collaborate with like-minded women, the more seats we create at the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Ashley started this as a portrait project several years ago, and I was honored to be included in that. And I just thought it was such a neat idea. And Ashley has been so encouraging to me over the last several years to start a podcast, especially since I left the radio station, because I do enjoy working with my voice so much. But I wasn't sure. I just couldn't find the content. I didn't know how I could serve. And then we were talking one day, just we don't have surface conversations well. They go deep really fast whenever we get together.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which of us said it, but one of us over coffee said, "Should this be a podcast?" And then it was just this seed that was planted in our hearts. And then last year I was doing this self-development course, and I was just like, oh my gosh, the Portrait Project is the podcast, because women that are doing amazing work like you need a spotlight, and you need other women cheering you on,
Yeah.
And for us to start and have these conversations, you
Yes.
know, because that's another moment of growth, we can spread it a little bit further. And I do think that you're right, that it is a competitive spirit that's, and I think that that's maybe where it could go the worst, because I think sometimes some of my best ideas and some of my best actions have come from talking with other women.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, like this whole project idea a few years ago, I just really wanted to take away the competitive lines between women, because we all know, like, we get one-on-one with another woman and it's just the treasure that comes pouring out most of the time. And I just think that is such a, and maybe it is, maybe I just haven't put words to it before, but maybe it is because there's so much treasure there that doesn't get the opportunity to be vocalized, at least not in a way that can be like
shared publicly.
Yeah. And I think because, that portrait project, the portraits for me were like a side thing. The most amazing thing about that year was the conversations that I had, and I have conversations all the time with women that I think, man, and I know I've said this before ad nauseum, but I'm like, people need to hear that, and I don't know. I just think it's just such a, I don't know. It's not everybody can have a podcast. Not everybody can have a nonprofit, but everybody can do something. And the thing about it is, like, it doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be this really heavy, burdensome thing. It should feel light, and there should be a grace about it. Whatever that thing is, that's what you need to go do. Like, for our listeners, like, if you're sitting there going, oh God, now I got to go get coolers and water, or I got to buy a microphone. No. Unless that feels light and easy to you, then sure. But if that feels heavy and burdensome, then that's not your thing. You'll know it's your thing when it feels light and when there's a grace to do it. And whatever that thing is, my hope and my challenge would just be dig into it and just go try, even if it's like a one-time thing. Hope is something that we can share and give in small doses, but that little bit of hope that we give somebody, that smile on their face when you hand them a plate of brisket, that can fuel their tank for years to come. And we hold so much power to do so much good that I just want to see everybody giving, but then also feeling empowered and feeling that gratification of, my life means something. I'm doing something worthwhile because I'm impacting other people for the better. And I mean,
Preach, sister.
I mean, yes. I just think like that's the stuff that makes life meaningful. When otherwise it's just like, we're just here. Listen, I'm not going to spend the next 85, however many years just being here. No, I want to do something.
It's so important that you're talking about that we don't know what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be this huge gesture, you know? And we don't have to run a company. We don't have to, be a Nobel Prize winner, you know? For every single person, we have to be our own individual in what we're doing and how we can share our gifts with other people,
Yep.
So I'm so grateful that you said that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it is just sharing your smile,
Yeah.
or taking care of your pets or your kids or, anything.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing. Like, I love thinking about all of these women that I know and women that I don't know, and like the way that each person is specifically and specially packaged, that when they allow themselves to be opened up, what will come out. Because I would have never in a million years thought I need to get pads and tampons to that community of women. That's not in my brain. And that's okay, because it's in yours and you acted on it. What is in my brain and my heart are many things, one of which is this podcast, and it's bringing women on to celebrate you, to celebrate who you are, the light that you are, and to amplify that out so that your voice can encourage others, and that's just my little piece. And when I leave here, I'm going to go take photos and take care of my kids, and there's a grace to do that, So, you're such a light, and I'm just so appreciative and so thankful in the world that we live in that there are Noras walking around.
Right.
That blesses my soul.
Right.
Thank you.
There's a lot of darkness right now, not to go too much into that, but there's a lot of hate in the world. There's a lot of fear. And so if this can be a moment of light and love and encouragement and hope, that's what we feel like we're here for. Not to escape that, not to diminish the challenges that people face in the world, but to offer hope and light to those who are experiencing it.
Yep.
Nora, I'm curious about something.
Okay.
Do you have something on your heart that's big, that's like a vision, that's something that's been laid upon you that you want to do, but you're not quite sure yet how you're going to do it or where you would get the resources?
Oh, constantly. Things like that.
Is that something you would be willing to give us a glimpse into, or you want to keep close to your heart for now?
Well, I'll share a little bit.
Okay.
Good question.
Thanks.
By the way. So I do have, practical ideas. If, we talked about how, the lunch club, I would love to see in Tyler. So this is a goal coming up. I want to shut down a street and create something East Texas and Texas has never seen before. The longest table for everyone to come and sit at. I think
family
that would be
style.
The coolest thing.
That would be cool.
And I think that I'm always striving to find new things, and then when I create art, I'm always trying to figure out how my voice can be extended and how I can speak about where we are right now in the world and our times and things like that. I don't know if I can give any more specifics.
So you're an artist too?
Oh, yes.
Oh, really? What's your medium? What do you use?
Anything.
Anything, really?
Anything and everything. Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to see some.
Well, it's what I can't do when I'm not out serving the community. This is, how I can make my hands work on what my brain and my heart are working on.
Yeah.
And so I think it's such a fun thing. And I think creating art is just so great for everyone in whatever means that it is.
Yep.
For me, it's visual art. But I think, using your voice.
Yes.
And, using your photography,
Yep.
It's such a great thing for our souls. And then it's also great, I think, when we share it with the world.
Yeah.
It is a universal thing, creation. Whatever it is, whatever your medium. I mean, some people think of their life as an art form, which I think you could say that about you.
Oh, I haven't thought of that.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the things you're creating in the world.
Yeah.
All the different ways that you're creating blessings and you're creating gifts and the service. I mean, I just think that that's a beautiful form of creation. And we all have that within us. We all have creativity. We just, it's like you're talking about with empathy. We don't necessarily exercise it enough to bring it into its fullest expression, maybe. But it is something that's there. And if we choose to practice it, we can grow it.
Maybe that is my answer to your question. Maybe that's what's always weighing on my heart is the idea of encouraging people to be empathetic.
How about a podcast episode?
That'd be great.
It's a good title, Encouraging Empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So how about this? All right, y'all. For those of you listening who are like, I want to be a little light. I want to be a flame, but I don't know how to do it. If you're listening to this episode, I want to challenge you to share it. Share it with a friend, share it to your social media, not for the sake of Celebrating Women podcast, but for the sake of spreading the message of empathy. Share it. And let's just see how many flames might get sparked from hearing your life's message and the light that you're shining. And
yes. And if you're inspired to do something, tell us what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's another way to celebrate Nora's light, but also celebrate the light that's in you.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, I
Yep.
love that.
Yep.
So, Nora, this is awesome. We could talk to you for hours, hours, really, because I have so many questions, but we'll just have to invite you back. Tell us, we like to wrap up our podcast with 3 questions that we ask everyone, and usually I give you a heads up, but I didn't today. However,
Ooh, we get to do it right off the cuff. They're not scary. It's okay.
they're pretty easy.
So first question is, what is your coffee order?
My coffee order. I like coffee with a little bit of honey and a tiny bit of milk.
Honey and milk and coffee. I don't think I've ever heard of honey and coffee. I think
Oh,
that's
it's
amazing.
so good. That's the way my stepmom enjoys it. She loves it. My dad makes it just right for her every time she says.
That's so precious.
A little bit of honey and milk.
Little honey and
that's,
milk.
that's yummy. Do you have a favorite cocktail? You were a bartender.
Oh, I don't think it's a cocktail. I think it's just whiskey on the rocks.
All right. Do you have a favorite whiskey?
Oh, no, that's an ever-changing thing.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Yes. And I think I think we go through our days and our personality kind of ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the same when you go out to have a drink,
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you had a bad day, maybe the whiskey burns a little bit more.
On a good day, it's a little smoother.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Speaking of artful living, being intentional about your whiskey. I mean, so thoughtful. Okay, do you like to travel?
I do.
If we were to give you a free ticket to go anywhere, you could go as fancy or as basic as you want to go. Where would you go and why?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think I would go to Egypt.
Ooh, good one.
we've been watching a lot of documentaries at home about Egypt and things like that. So I think it's fresh on my brain. But I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard that the pyramids are slowly shrinking. And for some reason that's developed into this, like, for whatever reason, a worry of mine that I'll never see the
So you've got, you know
Sense of
what?
urgency.
I had that feeling about the Titanic, knowing that it's slowly disintegrating. It used to be this thing that I'm like, oh no, but I have no interest in going to see it. But I have a thing with deep water. But I understand that feeling, like, oh no, we need to go see it before it.
I felt that way about Venice. It's slowly sinking too, but I've been. It's amazing. It's magical, and you should go if it's a desire in your heart, because it is a lovely place. I would also really love to go to Egypt too. It just feels like such a center of history. So ancient.
Yeah.
and of great women.
Yes.
Also.
So true.
Okay. All right. So where can our listeners find out more information about you, about your nonprofit, about all the things?
So I have 3 websites to share with
Cool.
you. One would be noraschreiber.com. And then for the nonprofit, it's theworthyones.com.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook and Instagram for that. And then to find out more about what I'm doing at Stanley's, you can visit stanleysfamous.com under Giving Back.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, we will include all of those in show notes so that they're easy to click, linkable.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being here today, Nora. You're such a gift.
You guys are so sweet. This is so fun.
Yay.
The Celebrating Women podcast wants to hear from you. Email us a voice message to celebratingwomenpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear your story or the story of an incredible woman you know. Become part of the conversation on social media. Facebook.com/celebratingwomenpodcast. On Instagram, search Celebrating Women Podcast. The Celebrating Women podcast has been presented by Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Book your appointment today. Stop by the spa in Cumberland Shopping Center or online at handandstonetyler.com. The Celebrating Women podcast is created and hosted by Mandee Montana and Ashley Fisher. Support the show for as little as $3 per month at celebratingwomenpodcast.buzzsprout.com or visit our show notes. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the Celebrating Women podcast.